Hello all. Welcome back. Today's program, let me make a little adjustment here. Bear with me, horizontal viewers. There we go. And just like that, we're back on a beautiful Monday, episode 168 in the Jar Football program. Feels like we're already helms deep into the offseason. We're really only a week into it. But we still coming down the pipe. My name is Clark Dupree. This is my football program in the Jar podcast. And the featured item of discussion today is going to be Big Ten versus the SEC. And how their discussions are going to affect what the college football playoff looks like going forward. We've got some discussion about spring ball. Maybe we'll see if we can reminisce a little bit upon some spring football stories. You know, as a walk-on scout guy, bench warmer in college, however you want to shake it, I feel like spring ball. Let me just adjust this real quick, you guys. Lord, I'm getting caught up being a perfectionist today. That looks a lot better, though, I think. Yeah, as a walk-on scout guy in college football, you know, I used to be one of those guys. The majority of my action came during spring ball. It's a time for coaches and players to prove themselves. Let's say you get hired on as a college football head coach, and everybody's real excited, and they bring you on to do a press conference, and you say, we're going to attack every day. We're going to be physical. We're going to be organized. We're going to execute at high levels. And then you come out there the first couple of weeks in spring practice, and you're not those things. Well, that shows who you really are. If you're not organized in spring ball, you're not going to. And look, you know, it takes time for teams to develop cohesion. Hello to Alex. It takes time for teams to develop cohesion, organization, but you can preach physicality from day one. You can have no tolerance as a head coach in college football or any other level. You can have no tolerance for low physicality on day one. Maybe day two. Day one, you get these, especially when you're starting spring ball, and at the college level, these guys, they coming off a layoff. You know, most teams are done in college ball way before Christmas. Way before. So when you start spring ball in the next couple of weeks, you know, as a college kid, you've had December, January, February to just eat barbecue and drink beer with the fraternity guys and party, if that's your kind of thing. You know, there's some guys on college football teams that party. There's some guys that don't party. I personally think that partying can be a bit of a good thing if you're doing it with other teammates and you're just getting it out of your system as a college kid. I feel like the fellas that were very disciplined and strict with themselves in college sometimes, you know, leave a little to be desired when they become adults. They think, dang, you know, I can't get hammered at a house party anymore. I kind of wish I had done that when I had the chance. But no, so when you come back from spring ball, and a lot of these programs have new coaches, And a lot of these coaches have never worked together. So maybe you just hire a new O-line coach. You see how that's going. Or maybe you hired a new head coach. LSU's going through this with Lane Kiffin right now. Once LSU starts spring ball, I don't know when that'll be, but once they start spring ball, it's going to be a completely new standard. It's going to be a completely new expectation. And another thing that goes on in spring ball is you start to see who's going to have the serious reps in camp. For a guy like me, when I was a college football player, spring ball was my time to prove whether I deserved reps with the twos in camp. Spring ball, there's no stakes. You don't have a game coming up this week, and you definitely don't have any risk of getting fired as a head coach week to week because there's no game to lose. And speaking of getting fired, what's his guy's name that just got fired from Kansas State basketball? Jerome Tange? What's his coach? I can't remember the damn name. Jerome Tang. So Kansas State basketball, 10-15. They're not good. Manhattan, I can't imagine going to play basketball at a school in Manhattan, Kansas being fun. But Kansas State has had good teams in basketball before. Jerome Tang apparently was upset or disappointed with the team. And he looks at all of them and he says, "You guys don't deserve to wear this uniform. Most of y'all won't even be here next year." And if you Google his name right now, Jerome Tang, you'll see media outlets writing about how he was out of line. Kansas State basketball coach goes off in a viral rant. And I had to actually Google search, what did Jerome Tang say? Because I couldn't find it just searching his name. I couldn't figure. There were all these articles about this viral rant from emotional head coach. But no articles were saying what he actually said. And then I find what he actually said. I don't know if somebody in the locker room recorded it or what happened. Because I haven't been able to find the soundbite or the actual clip of him saying these things. But the worst it got was, "You don't deserve to wear this uniform." And Kansas State University fires him with cause. With cause, without cause. There's a whole lot of legalese going on in college athletics between institutions and head coaches. With cause, what does that mean? It means that they don't have to pay him a buyout. What was the buyout? $18.5 million. So I'm trying to connect the dots here. You Google this guy's name, and you got a barrage of articles talking about viral rant gets head coach fired. But then you actually do the research and you find that that's the That's all he said. Kansas State's trying to save themselves a little bit of change. Sure, it doesn't help that the team's 10-15. They were fixing to fire him anyway, but they do so with cause and save themselves $18.5 million. So there's that. Chicken Jockey Bowl. That's from Sierra Harvey. Interesting. Sounds good. So that's the sticky on Jerome. What's his name? Jerome Tang. Hope he gets a job somewhere else. We'll be with you guys here another 15 minutes or so. So, how about we cover what was mentioned in the thumbnail and the title? And that is the ongoing debate between the SEC and the Big Ten about the size of the college football playoff. I'm starting to understand this a bit better. What's going on? What's going on with my camera? Some kind of spam caller? It's never happened before. I just got a call from somebody and it stopped the entire thing. Normally it doesn't. Normally it doesn't stop it. That's interesting. So Big Ten SEC. Here's the sticky. And get you guys out of here in a little bit. Big Ten is floating a 24-team college football playoff proposal. 23 at-large teams. One auto bid shot for the highest-ranked group of 5. Interesting. One auto bid shot for the highest-ranking G5 team. So you have 23 big-time schools going into the playoff. You have one G5 school getting into the playoff. So this year, in a 16-team playoff, you saw basically 2 G5 teams get in. Tulane, James Madison. No conference title games. And people are saying that this is bait for the SEC. Last year, SEC coaches wanted best 16 teams, so no automatic bids. Big 12 and the ACC said they'd earn it on the field. But now Big 10 is saying 23 at-larges, which means all of the SEC, likely 7 or more teams, get in automatically. SEC leadership in Destin, it's not Destin, it's Birmingham, isn't it? SEC leadership last year liked automatic bids. Coaches hated them. The Big Ten's trying to bait the SEC into saying yes, because as it stands now, if the status quo stays the status quo, then the SEC anticipates, we'll get 7 to 10 teams in this playoff every single year. The question is, will the SEC hold the line on exclusivity? This has been the ongoing argument. I talked about it last week. I said, I wonder why the SEC wouldn't want a bigger playoff. And it now makes sense that a bigger playoff would mean that your conference games don't mean as much anymore. It would make SEC versus SEC wins less meaningful. It would dilute the rigor of college football. Because as long as you're ranked, you're in. This'll if there's a 24-team playoff in college football, you're going to have 8 and 4 teams getting in. It'll completely democratize things. I think there's an argument there that it would be really, really exciting playoff. But the thing about it is that the regular season in college football becomes absolutely meaningless. Maybe for a couple of those teams, programs that are on the bubble of being ranked, the last couple of weeks of the season might be interesting for them. But all in all, a 24-team playoff renders the college football regular season completely meaningless. So what I see here is the SEC trying to make sure that the quality of college football is maintained. And the Big Ten is fighting to degrade it. That's what I'm seeing. The Big Ten wants to dilute college football as we know it. 24-team playoff. If you're ranked, you're in. Bullshit. 16-team playoff is pushing it. I think the 12-team playoff is just right. The SEC doesn't want a 24-team playoff. Big Ten is pushing a 24-team playoff. Because then maybe they can sneak in a little shitty-ass Northwestern. And we have some, Sister Jean, Loyola Marymount story in college football. Not for me. See, I want to see the programs down south continue to eat. I want to keep it down south. I don't want no Sister Jean in my college football. And that's what the Big Ten's trying to do to you right there. They're trying to bait the SEC into doing this 24-team playoff because they got some evil vendetta to try and undermine the quality of our great game at the college level. 24 teams is not exclusive. The SEC wants to preserve exclusivity in college football for the good of the game. You guys know what I'm talking about, man? God, that's going to be a hell of a clip, that rant right there. 24 teams, because 12 is just right, I think. You get one auto bid. Notre Dame's been promised their spot in it for 3,000 years. I can't stand those guys, man. Why it's bait for the SEC guarantees that the SEC gets in automatically. 23 slots. SEC leadership last year liked auto bids. SEC coaches hated auto bids. They wanted the best 16. 12 team is a sweet spot, I think. 16's tolerable. Which I can't even remember which one we did this year. How think it was 12, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 12. We can't, man. We can't. I don't want to do 16. Maybe I'm back and forth on it. This year, I would have liked to have seen 16 a little bit because you would have had Texas in there. They would have been interesting. You would have had Vandy in there. They would have been interesting. I think they probably would have pooped out. For some reason, I don't want to be a hater. I like Pavia a lot. Do y'all think Pavia has the juice to get it done in like really pressure-packed moments, though? I don't want to be a hater. I'm not sure. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on between the SEC and the Big 12. Man, with the playoff at this point, I say just leave it alone. Leave it at 12. It's nice and exclusive that way. It still means something. It makes the regular season meaningful and watchable. See, I think the problem you're seeing with leagues like the NBA right now is that the amount of pressure per regular season game is diluted. And that's why in the NBA you get guys not really trying. You hear a lot of people complain about that in the NBA, that guys on a night-to-night basis aren't giving their best effort. Basketball is a game where if you're really good, sometimes it can look effortless. I personally don't think it's the hardest sport in the world. I ranted about the NBA last week. I enjoy playing because it is a hard workout, but it doesn't really feel like a hard workout. It's fun. It takes the focus off of your physical fatigue when there's a ball out there that you can put through a hoop. You know what I mean? But that's why the NBA product has suffered in the regular season, because you've diluted the stakes in the regular season games. College football would be no different. In fact, I think if you took away significance in regular season games in college football with younger kids, maybe a tiny bit less maturity than NBA players, I don't know. You know, the maturity gap might not be that much when you got guys playing a game like football where you're actually building character and doing hard things every day, or basketball where you're just kind of worried about chasing hussies around. You know, I don't know, but so the maturity gap between NBA players who are 28, 29 might not be much different than a 18, 19-year-old college football player. I'm not too sure. But let's say there is. You dilute the stakes of a regular season college football game with younger guys who are more apt to lose focus anyway. Think about how much that would degrade the product of college football. People wouldn't even wake up till early December, mid-December. People wouldn't even watch. Like, you think an Alabama LSU game in Death Valley would have the same juice if it was in October when you got all this regular season ball to play and you really know that the regular season deep down in your heart doesn't even matter because the playoffs includes everybody that's ranked? Damn, man, this might be a good ongoing discussion. The size of the playoff. We're going to have a couple guests, I think. We might have a guest or two this week. And I'm really excited about them. I've started sending DMs to some accounts that I wasn't sure if I would get a response from, and we've gotten some responses from a few of them. So for the sake of suspense, I'm going to keep it to my chest right now who it is. But we might be having somebody call in later this week. We will see about it. A lot of Georgia. I'll say this: a lot of folks from Georgia in my inbox talking about coming on old In the Jar football program right now. talk about the Bulldogs a little bit. Gunner Stockton. What else? I mean, so we got a couple minutes left. Round out this SEC Big Ten discussion, make sure I'm hitting all the points. The real risk for the SEC would be making decisions based on the status quo. What that statement tells me right there is that other people talking about this topic feel like the SEC is going to continue to degrade. Feel like that when you're saying SEC, you're making a decision based on status quo. What you're saying is the SEC is trending downward. I don't believe that. You know, what other conference in college sports do you know where if it goes 3 years, think about how small a window of time that is, 3 years. If you go 3 years without winning a national championship, you start hearing people going, hey, this conference ain't won it in 3 years. What's going on, man? What other conference do you know of where people would start behaving that way? I think that tells you something right here. You know? So, I don't like a bigger playoff. There's arguments on both sides. Real risk for SEC. Assume 7 SEC teams in always. It just depends on if you did a 2014 playoff in college football. The job at the end of the season is to just be ranked. That's it. If you're ranked, you gave yourself a chance to win a national title. That means no conference championship games, which I hate. I hate no conference championship games, but it looks like we're headed in that direction. Yeah, I'm not sure. I ranted about it earlier. I think the SEC is trying to preserve the quality of college football. Big Ten is floating a 2014 playoff proposal with 23 at-larges. So that means you have one G5 school get in. Here's the trap. If you make decisions based on today's reality, what happens when CFP rankings shift and the SEC only gets 3 to 4 teams in? You're locked in. Plus, 24 teams isn't exclusive anymore. So my issue with that is that assumes SEC is going to continue to degrade. I don't like that. On the other side of it, 24 teams will just degrade the quality of the product, and I'm against that. I think we ought to stay at 12, man. We ought to stay at 12. Let's hang tight at 12. I'm heading to the gym a little early today, fellas, so I'm going to be heading out here now. But it's been fun getting to talk to you. I think we clip farmed a little bit here today. So that's cool. Excited about the trajectory of this show, brothers. People are going to call my phone and interrupt the video of this podcast. I got to figure that out. But other than that, not much going on here. I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on, but it's just normal stuff, you know. Working, podcasting, training, recovering, eating, and running my dog around. That's basically what I do every day. And I love it. So, this is In the Jar Football Show. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Make sure to smash that subscribe button. Smash that like button. And if you don't do either, don't let that dough hit your ass on the way out. At least like something and then consider subscribing for me there. Take a look at the channel. Do what you got to do. I understand. that we got to earn your subscription to some extent. And I feel like we do day in and day out. We're here Monday through Friday around 6:30 Eastern. Today we were a bit early. We might toy with being a little earlier some days. So be on the lookout for that. Anything else you guys got for me? Holler at me in the chat. And we'll holler at you here tomorrow around the same time. Again, hit that subscribe button. Look out for some guests here coming on the show potentially this week. Mike, hop on the Madden streams again. I always tease it, I always say it, and it always seems to not happen. But I feel God calling it back to me sometimes. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm Clark Dupree. This is In the Jar Football Show. Enjoy chatting with you guys, and see you tomorrow.